local business owner. So the first type of business that we're going to be working with when we're first starting out, if you don't have any experience and you're just getting started, the best type of business to work with is the typical local business owner. And what they are is typically a technician. And they're typically somebody who has 3, 5, maybe 10 employees. And they're small. However, they're great at what they do. They've had their business for years. And they typically are the ones also working in the trenches. Not always, okay? And that's what I mean by technician. They're typically very, very good at what they do themselves, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually in the trenches doing the work themselves. They may from time to time, like if you work with any kind of construction company, landscaping, home remodeling, you'll find that some of these folks actually do a little bit of the work themselves and they have a team with them. However, they still like going in there and getting their hands dirty, right? So they're really good at what they do, and they are not very good with marketing because that's a separate skill that you have. And that's why you're valuable to them, right? A roofer isn't going to know about digital marketing, about getting leads online. A home remodeling company isn't going to know how to do that either. They're going to know how to remodel your house very, very well, and they're going to be an expert in that field, but they're not going to know how to generate new business through Facebook or Google. You are, and that's why you're extremely valuable to them, okay? And so this is their experience with digital marketing. Number one, they've never tried digital marketing because it's too confusing for them to even figure out and to even, get kicked off. And they've relied solely on referrals and word of mouth, yet they understand the value of digital marketing. Okay? It's one of those things where you'll find some businesses that have never done any kind of digital marketing, yet they're aware of how powerful it is and that it could definitely help their business grow, yet they don't understand how to go about it. Okay? And then number two, they've tried digital marketing themselves or with a company such as YP.com, Yelp, Groupon, and did not get the results that they expected. Now, this is a big thing here, and this is another part of the reason why these businesses need your help, okay? Especially in the local space. A lot of these companies that have accounts with YP.com, Groupon, Yelp, even HomeAdvisor, a lot of these companies are taking advantage of these business owners, right? With YP.com, there's still people there that are paying for advertising. And here's the thing, who's going to YP.com to look for a business, to look for service, right? And so what's happening is that these businesses are getting taken advantage of. They're getting all these different leads that are being sold to multiple businesses. And so they're getting the short end of the stick. And so with a company like HomeAdvisor, for example, they sell leads to 4 or 5 different businesses, one lead, right? And so at the end of the day, who's going to come out on top of that, actual lead? Well, probably the first person that calls or the person with the lowest price. And so these businesses are losing money. They're having to lower their price to be able to even be competitive, right, to bid on a project. And so it's ultimately not a good situation for the business where they're having to deal with lowering the price and actually being sold, the lead that's being sold to 5 different companies. With our methods that we're using through Facebook and Google ads, these leads that we're generating for these clients are exclusive leads. Nobody else is getting these, right? And they 100% own them. Ultimately, what we want to understand here is that these websites, YP, Yelp, Groupon, HomeAdvisor, are not helping out our clients. They are essentially losing them money. And so that's where we can come in and be able to showcase why we're different and how these businesses can get these leads coming in and how they're going to be exclusive just to them. Nobody else is going to get them. And how we can typically get leads for $5 to $6 per lead, depending on the market and depending on the offer. But $5 to $6 per lead for an exclusive lead is actually not out of the question. It's pretty common. And then number 3, this is where they've tried digital marketing before with other marketing agencies and did not get the results that they expected. It's important to understand at this stage how specifically the other agency fell short so you can tell them precisely how you're different. And an example here is one of the things that we do differently is X and Y because XYZ. And that means, and we can put it in and fill in the blank, whatever we want. Because here's the thing. When it comes to a client or a business that we're looking to bring on board where they're like, hey, I've been burned in the past, I've tried, this before and it doesn't work, right? You really need to emphasize the fact that you have a proven system and that you understand that, they may have hired somebody who worked with the company that did not get them the results that they were looking for. And it sounds like they didn't have the right expertise to be able to get the job done because there's other companies out there in the similar space, right? In the similar area that are using, Google or Facebook to actually get results. So it's not that Facebook ads or Google ads didn't work. It's that they hired somebody that really didn't know what they were doing and didn't have the right expertise, the right processes, the right systems in place to be able to get them actual real tangible results that's going to get them a return on their investment. So as I mentioned, the typical business owner in the local space is going to rely solely on referrals, word of mouth marketing, maybe networking events, right? And their marketing is going to be in the red. They're not really even going to have a marketing strategy, a lead generation strategy, a branding strategy, because everything as far as their efforts are all based on delivering the product to service, right? And so marketing oftentimes is non-existent for these guys. And remember, these guys are experts in their field, and you're expert in your field of digital marketing, where you can come in and let them know that, hey, I understand you're an expert in XYZ. I'm sure you provide great work. Or through your marketing efforts, you mentioned to them that, hey, I came across your business and noticed that you provide, great work. Congratulations. I love the kind of work that you do. And then be able to convey through your, presentation, through your communication on your discovery call that you are an expert in the digital marketing space that can help them, establish and set up a lead generation strategy so that they don't have to rely solely on referrals and word of mouth. And here's the thing, it actually costs less for a business to hire you as a consultant than if they were to hire somebody in-house, like a full-time actual employee, right? They would have to pay salary, benefits, insurance, and with you, all they have is a monthly retainer plus the ad spend with no additional expenses required. Now let's take a look at the local business hierarchy. So this is what you're going to most likely come across whenever you're reaching out to a local business and you come across that they have an office manager or a general manager. This is typically how it looks like. And you're not really going to see this in any other course out there. I've taken a lot of different courses just to be able to see kind of what they have in the content and what they really explain. And I haven't seen really any type of program out there in the digital marketing space that really outlines this for you. I want you to have a high level overview of how a local business is structured, okay? Because in the local space, this is what you're typically going to see. If it's in the medical space, you're typically going to see a owner or maybe a CEO, and then you're going to see an office manager, and then a receptionist and secretary, and then some employees. Typically in the construction space, you're going to see a general manager, a receptionist, and then employees. And so an easy way to understand this is on the left, as I mentioned, we have the medical space. You can think of these folks as white collar professionals. So think of anybody who has gone to school or had some kind of, diploma or special certification, right? We're talking doctors, physical therapists, counselors, anybody that needs to have some kind of specialized training for, right? And has some kind of diploma and where they need to, quote unquote, get dressed up to go to work, okay? And then on the other side, this is in the blue collar space. So this is where you have construction, manufacturing, anything that has to do with manual or physical labor. You're going to have a general manager typically, you're going to have a receptionist, secretary, and then your worker employees, right? And so with the medical space, you'll find that a lot of the times the office manager may be the person that makes the decisions for the marketing. Now, it's not always going to be the case. For the larger businesses, let's say for like a large dental practice, they're going to have an office manager. Same thing with like attorneys. They're also going to have like an office manager, and they may be the person that handles the marketing. Not always, right? That's why it's best that we reach out to the CEO or to the owner, because then they're going to naturally push it down the line. And so if you reach out to the owner or the CEO, they're typically going to send a message to their office manager or their general manager and say, hey, figure this out, find out more about this, and you'll be able to, get those responses coming back to you, right? So as I mentioned, think about the left side as white collar jobs, anybody that has to have any kind of diploma, certification, went to school for it. And then on the right hand side is blue collar jobs, where they're typically manual labor or production. So now let's look at the